Hey, I'm Nancy Cavey, National ERISA and IDI Disability Attorney. Welcome to Winning Isn't Easy. Before we get started, I've got to give you a legal disclaimer. This podcast isn't legal advice. The Florida Bar Association says I've got to say that, so I've done that. But nothing will ever prevent me from giving you an easy-to-understand overview of the disability insurance world, the games that carriers play, and what you need to know to get the disability benefits you deserve. So off we go. If you are on disability benefits, in other words, you're on claim or you're in the process of applying for benefits, I think there's a lot that you need to know. But one of the most important things you need to know is one of the first defenses that a disability carrier will raise to your disability claim is what's called a misrepresentation defense. And I'm going to talk to you today about that misrepresentation defense, how to avoid making them, and how to avoid getting a letter from the disability carrier that says, too bad, so sad, we're not paying your benefits because of a misrepresentation on your application or enrollment forms. So we're going to talk about three things today. One, what does rescinding a disability insurance policy mean? Two, making false statements after you've applied for disability insurance benefits can doom your claim. And thirdly, don't mess with a disability carrier and fail to tell them about your work activity. The tale of how one attorney destroyed his case. Let's take a break for a moment before we get started in this week's episode. Welcome back to Winning Isn't Easy. Don't mess with a disability carrier and fail to tell them about your work activity. A tale of how one attorney destroyed his long-term disability case. Now, when the disability company puts you on claim and begins to pay benefits, you're going to be sent on a regular basis forms called activity of daily living forms. They're going to ask questions about your activities, including work activities. You have an obligation to tell the truth. And if you don't, your claim could be denied. And worse yet, the disability carrier just might sue you to recover the disability payments it made to you. So I'm going to tell you the story of Mr. Messing, who lived up to his name and messed up his disability claim big time. Misrepresentations about his work activity. Messing was a former partner in a law firm, and he certainly knew the likely consequences of making a misrepresentation in his activity of daily living forms. Misrepresentation is a fancy legal term for lying. Now, Messing claimed in 1998 that he was disabled because of depression, and he was unable to handle the stress of being a trial lawyer. And I'll tell you, it is stressful. Unum Provident accepted the claim and paid benefits until 2018, when they found that he was able to work as a lawyer, and they terminated his benefits. What Messing had never disclosed was that between 1999 and 2013, he had worked on 13 cases for which he was paid. Now, the failure to disclose his work and his money that he had earned on his activity of daily living forms came back to bite him. Unum Provident did a simple search using a legal tool called Pacer. They typed in his name, and out came information about these 13 cases. And while this was not part of the administrative record, it did not help his case. So what did Unum Provident do? They were obviously pissed. Not a legal term, but you know what I mean. Unum Provident counterclaimed when he filed a lawsuit for restitution of the disability benefits. They said, look, Messing misrepresented his inability to work as an attorney, and we want our money back. Fortunately for Messing, the judge found that Unum Provident hadn't met its burden of proof to show that the misrepresentations induced the payment of his benefits. The judge concluded that at best, Unum Provident could only show that it would have investigated the claim had it known about the misrepresentation, and that it was speculative as to whether or not this information would have even led to a claim denial. Well, the good news is that he didn't have to pay back the money Unum Provident had paid him from 1999 to 2013. But the bad news is that Messing lost his disability claim. I don't want you to give the disability carrier reasons to deny your claim. They're in the business of denying claim, but you shouldn't give the carrier a reason to deny the claim or misrepresent your work activity. I just recently had a client do this where she created an online business and had an actual site with information about all of the presentations that she had done around the country. Now, she claimed that she was unable to work in part because of interstitial cystitis and urological issues. But here she was getting on airplanes, standing in front of audiences, giving speeches, and she'd even wrote a book that she had for sale on her website. Well, guess what happened? That misrepresentation resulted, just like in Mr. Messing's case, a claim denial, a claim determination, a claim for restitution. And in Messing's case, there was a referral to the Department of Insurance for fraud. Even worse, for Mr. Messing, his misrepresentations could have resulted, and maybe did result, in a bar complaint and an ethics violation that could result in the loss of his legal license. So the consequences of misrepresentation can go far beyond simply a denial of a claim, termination of benefits, or even a claim for restitution. Don't make misrepresentations. Tell the truth all the time. I hope you've enjoyed this week's episode of Winning Isn't Easy. If you've enjoyed this episode, consider liking our page, leaving a review, or sharing it with your friends and family. Please become a subscriber to this podcast. That way, you'll be notified every time a new episode comes out.